When historians describe the year 1901 in Jacksonville, Florida, they usually focus on what everyone could see: the flames that devoured downtown blocks, the smoke that darkened the sky for days, the thousands of residents fleeing with nothing but the clothes on their backs. But the real discovery, the one that would change everything we thought we knew about American cities, began the moment the ashes settled and the rebuilding crews started digging. It started with a routine clearance order. City engineers needed to assess the damage, remove debris, and prepare foundations for the new Jacksonville that would rise from the ruins. The work was practical, methodical, unremarkable. Clear the wreckage, test the soil, plan the reconstruction. Nothing unusual was expected. Nothing extraordinary was supposed to happen. But within hours of breaking ground, the crews encountered something that didn't belong in any official record. Beneath the basement levels of burned buildings, deeper than any known construction should reach, they found structures that shouldn't exist. Walls built with precision that made contemporary masonry look crude. Archways cut so perfectly that modern engineers still struggle to explain the technique. Chambers organized in patterns that suggested systematic planning on a scale Jacksonville had never documented. This wasn't mentioned in the newspapers celebrating the city's phoenix-like rebirth. It didn't appear in the municipal reports about reconstruction progress. But in the private notes kept by excavation supervisors, the same phrases appear repeatedly: unforeseen architecture, unexpected depth, construction methods unknown. The official explanation would eventually categorize everything as old storage facilities or forgotten utility tunnels. Standard urban archaeology, nothing worth public discussion, but the photographs taken during those first weeks tell a different story entirely. They show workers standing beside brick patterns that don't match any known American building tradition. Passages fitted together with mathematical precision that shouldn't be possible using 19th century tools. Underground networks extending far beyond the footprint of any documented neighborhood. And the deeper the teams dug, the more impossible it became to fit these discoveries into Jacksonville's accepted timeline. Because what they were uncovering wasn't random construction or isolated basements, it was systematic infrastructure. An entire buried district with what appeared to be streets, intersections, and building foundations laid out according to an organized plan. The scale alone raised uncomfortable questions. Jacksonville in 1901 was a growing port city, but the subterranean architecture suggested a population density far greater than anything the city had ever recorded. Massive support columns built to bear loads that the wooden buildings above could never justify. Ventilation systems too sophisticated for simple storage. Water management features that implied permanent occupation rather than temporary use. Recovery teams quietly admitted among themselves that nothing added up. The construction quality exceeded anything in their experience. The urban planning showed coordination beyond local capability. The engineering demonstrated knowledge that wasn't supposed to exist in frontier Florida. As documentation accumulated, so did the silence. Initial reports describing elaborate discoveries became shorter, vaguer, more cautious. Detailed measurements disappeared from later surveys. Photographs showing the widest views of underground chambers stopped appearing in official files. And then, without explanation, many of the excavated areas were sealed again. Workers described orders to fill entire passages with concrete. Chambers that had taken weeks to clear were deliberately buried within days. Entrances were blocked, access points were eliminated, and much of what had been exposed was returned to darkness. The justification was always practical: structural concerns, safety requirements, construction schedules. But observers noted which discoveries were sealed first, and the pattern was troubling. The most sophisticated chambers, the most precisely engineered passages, the most intact examples of whatever civilization had built this underground network, were invariably the first to disappear. By 1902, Jacksonville's new street maps showed no trace of the subterranean discoveries. Property records were updated to eliminate references to lower levels. Even the municipal survey data was revised to remove mentions of unusual foundation depths. It was as if the city had made a collective decision to pretend the underground district never existed. What makes this erasure particularly unsettling is the sheer number of people who must have known. Construction foremen, city planners, municipal engineers, survey teams, photography crews, archival clerks. Hundreds of individuals witnessed discoveries that fundamentally challenged everything they understood about their city's history. Yet within months, that collective knowledge simply vanished from public discourse. Private letters from the period reveal fragments of what was deliberately omitted from official records. A survey engineer writing to his brother mentioned passages wide enough for carriages, though no carriages had reason to travel underground. A photographer described chambers with ceiling heights that dwarfed contemporary buildings, yet served no apparent purpose that anyone could identify. A construction supervisor noted foundation stones cut with such precision that gaps between blocks were measured in fractions of inches. These personal accounts paint a picture far more extensive than any official documentation admits. They describe not just isolated rooms or forgotten cellars, but an interconnected network of spaces that functioned as genuine urban infrastructure. Street-like corridors with raised sidewalk areas, intersection points where multiple passages converged according to geometric principles, drainage systems engineered with mathematical precision that 19th century Jacksonville supposedly lacked. Perhaps most disturbing were the artifacts recovered from sealed chambers, items that didn't match any known local manufacturing. Ceramic work using techniques that regional historians couldn't identify. Metal fixtures showing alloy compositions that weren't commercially available in Florida. Glass panels with manufacturing marks from companies that appear in no business registry. Some objects seemed deliberately placed, as if spaces had been evacuated in an orderly fashion. Others appeared abandoned suddenly, left behind when the underground district was permanently closed. The distribution suggested not random storage, but active use by a population that vanished without leaving any trace in Jacksonville's documented history. Workers also discovered carved markings at key intersection points throughout the underground network. Not casual scratches or construction notes, but systematic symbols that appear to serve as navigation aids. The consistency of placement and design suggested a standardized wayfinding system for a district extensive enough to require one. Chemical analysis conducted years later on salvaged brick samples revealed firing temperatures beyond the capability of any known local kiln. Clay compositions that didn't match regional deposits. Mortar formulations that resembled industrial manufacturing more than traditional masonry techniques. The implications were staggering. If these findings were accurate, then Jacksonville sat atop infrastructure built by a civilization with technological capabilities that didn't align with accepted historical timelines. A civilization that had constructed an entire underground city, occupied it for an unknown period, and then disappeared so completely that no official record acknowledged its existence. But rather than investigating these anomalies, rather than documenting what could have been the archaeological discovery of the century, the decision was made to bury it all again, to seal the chambers, fill the passages, and ensure that whatever lay beneath Jacksonville would remain hidden. The question that haunts researchers today isn't just what was discovered in 1901. It's why such extraordinary findings were deemed too dangerous to acknowledge. The 1901 Jacksonville excavation represents more than just a buried mystery. It stands as evidence of a pattern that extends far beyond Florida, far beyond a single city's secrets. Because when you start looking, when you start asking the uncomfortable questions, you realize that Jacksonville wasn't unique. Similar discoveries have been quietly documented and quietly buried in cities across America and beyond. The real question isn't what lay beneath those burned blocks in 1901. The real question is what else remains hidden beneath the cities we walk through every day. What other convenient disasters provided the perfect opportunity to excavate, document, and then systematically conceal evidence of civilizations we're not supposed to remember? And perhaps most importantly, why does acknowledging these discoveries threaten the historical narrative we've been taught to accept without question? Because if Jacksonville's underground district was real, if the engineering was as sophisticated as the photographs suggest, if the scale was as vast as the private accounts describe, then everything we think we know about who built America and when begins to crumble. The evidence was there for a brief moment in 1901, exposed, photographed, documented by dozens of witnesses. Then it was buried again, not by time or natural processes, but by deliberate human choice. The chambers remain sealed beneath modern Jacksonville, waiting. The photographs exist in scattered archives, mostly forgotten. The truth sits buried under a century of official silence. But the questions remain, and maybe that's enough. Because once you see the pattern, once you understand how thoroughly history can be rewritten, you can never look at the world the same way again.